People with anxiety, what are your coping mechanisms? I used to have anxiety attacks every single day until my mom sent me a care package with a secret item that changed my entire life. I developed anxiety during my childhood and it only got worse as I grew older. At first, it started out small. I used to be scared of everyone around me and couldn't make friends, and I would have trouble choosing what to eat when I had more than 2 options to pick from. During my preteen years, my anxiety got to the point where it started affecting me physically. Like, my heart would race for no reason, my palms would sweat, and sometimes, I couldn't even breathe properly. My anxiety got so bad that it even started affecting my sleep. I was constantly thinking about my social interactions, wondering if people were judging me throughout the day, worried that I said something wrong to people, and wondering what I could have done differently in situations. The tipping point came when I had to present something in class. As soon as I stepped in front of the classroom, in front of everybody, my chest tightened, my vision blurred, and it felt like everyone was out to get me. I was terrified and I started hyperventilating. I was sent to the nurse's office and my mom was called. She hadn't noticed my anxiety because the symptoms usually happened when I was alone, and I felt embarrassed to tell her about it. Now that my mom knew, she sent me to therapy and we started learning how I could prevent the symptoms as much as possible. My mom bought me fidget toys to distract me from my thoughts and keep me grounded, as well as a weighted blanket to help me sleep better and reduce my symptoms. When I turned 20, it seemed like I had my anxiety under control, so I made the decision to stop going to therapy and eventually move out. I had a full-time job at Amazon and went to college, although it was backbreaking work. I went back and forth between being happy about chasing my new dream to struggling to juggle my warehouse job and schoolwork. I was only a few weeks into living on my own, and my anxiety was being triggered worse than ever before. I was so happy at school, but from the moment I got back to my apartment every night, I found myself caught in endless thought loops of anxiety. I worried about everything from my rent, buying necessities, and my future. Worst of all, I was worried about my worsening health. Working in the mornings and going to school in the evenings demanded all my energy. If I didn't sleep or eat right, I would be drained at work, and I had a million assignments piling up but no time to do them. I took one too many days off in a row, and the next thing I knew, I was spiraling. I had 2 anxiety attacks in 1 week, and when I laid down to sleep at night, I couldn't help but overthink myself into a sobbing mess. I tried to use my old weighted blanket to help me fall asleep, but it was useless in my hot, stuffy little apartment. After a few weeks of my anxiety worsening, I reached out to my mom for support and broke down over the phone as soon as she said hello. She checked in on me all the time, but I hadn't been honest with her recently about how much I was struggling on my own. She immediately calmed me down and reminded me that I was young, still figuring it out, and doing an amazing job for my age. When she said she was proud of me, it made me cry more, but I finally felt a sense of relief. She said she was heading to my apartment with a little care package and everything would be okay. I was relieved when my mom arrived at my apartment and I felt my anxiety being soothed as I rummaged through my mom's care package, which was full of my favorite candy, face masks, an old plushie that I had forgotten about, and a blanket. When my mom saw me hold up the stretchy blanket, she explained that it was called a sleep pod. She had bought this for me after I moved out in case my new responsibilities caused my anxiety to spike. She explained that she had picked it up for me since it reminded her of back when I first started having severe panic attacks. My mom used to wrap me in a tight, warm hug until I stopped hyperventilating. Her hugs always calmed me down, and my weighted blanket was nothing compared to being wrapped up in my mom's arms. She pointed to my crumpled weighted blanket and said the pod might work better than that and be a bit cooler during the nighttime. I gave her a tight hug and thanked her for the sleep pod. I miss sleeping through the night with my weighted blanket, so I hoped this might be the perfect replacement. At that point, I was still desperate for any sort of anxiety relief, especially something that might help me get back on a normal sleep schedule. Sleep was more comfortable now that I was wrapped in my sleep pod instead of a huge blanket. It molded perfectly around my body to mimic being hugged. I felt like a kid in my mom's arms all over again. When I wrapped myself in it at night, the physical sensation of being held distracted me enough from my racing thoughts to get me to sleep in no time. Things immediately started looking up after I started sleeping regularly again. I felt way more on the ball at school, and I had plenty of energy during my work shifts. I was even enjoying my free time at home more since I had far less anxious thoughts running through my head in the evening. If I ever had a particularly stressful day, I would come home and climb into my sleep pod for a few minutes before going about my day, just because it was so effective at consoling me quickly and cozily. The next time I saw my mom, she told me how happy she was to see me so bubbly and rested. I thanked her for the wonderful gift and told her she had given it to me just in time since my final exams were only a month away. She encouraged me not to worry and that my talent and hard work would surely pay off, but I knew I would have been in hot water if she hadn't gifted me the new blanket. By the day of my exams, I was in a better place than I had been all year. Instead of being stressed about my exams, I felt excitement as I completed every single one. Without my anxiety being as strong as it was before, I got through school really easily. I wasn't scared to do any presentations, I rarely had any breathing problems, and I could always manage school and my job while still sleeping well every night. After I graduated, I moved into a luxury apartment and got a better job. It was like a dream. I had a brand new place, my trade, my health, and I had finally found an easy, reliable coping mechanism for my lifelong anxiety.